Everybody in the community knew Esin the tailor. Her shop sat right at the junction where 4 roads met, and her signboard shouted, "Queen Stitches, fast and perfect." But the truth, there was nothing fast about Esin, and perfect depended on whether she ever touched your cloth at all. Esin was lazy, but she was sharp with her mouth. If you gave her material, she would smile, collect the money up front, and promise, "Come back next week, it will be ready." You would go home believing her. But next week, nothing. The cloth would still be folded in the same corner where you dropped it. There was one time a woman called Enkay brought 3 wrappers to sew for her daughter's graduation. She begged Esin, "Please, I need this one sharp. The girl is graduating next month." Esin said, "No problem, auntie, it will be ready." Graduation day came. No gown, no wrapper, no needle had even touched the fabric. Enkay nearly fainted. She stormed the shop screaming. Esin hid behind her piles of fabric until the woman's voice went hoarse. Another time, a man called Pastor Daniel brought uniforms for his church choir. They had harvest service coming. He paid Esin in full, thinking a Christian woman could not disappoint. Harvest came and went. The choir wore old clothes while the uniforms still sat in Esin's bag. Pastor Daniel came back furious. Esin laughed and said, "Choir is every Sunday, Pastor. I will finish it before another Sunday comes." Pastor Daniel nearly collapsed. There was also Stella, a bride-to-be. She trusted Esin with her second outfit for her reception. She wanted something shiny, something that would scatter people's eyes on the dance floor. She paid rush fee, even gave Esin extra drinks. Wedding morning came. The bride called. Esin switched off her phone. The poor girl cried that day in front of her guests. People said that lazy Tailor has finally ruined someone's marriage joy. When customers complained too much, some took her to the police station. One policeman even threatened to lock her up. But Esin carried small brown envelope, slid it to the officer, and the case died. She would return home bragging, "Police is my customer too. Who go fit hold me." Other people tried another method. They went to her house to fight her. But they forgot one thing: Esin was strong. She had a body like cassava stick, thick and firm. If you dragged her outside, she would throw punches until you regretted coming. One woman named Ngozi tried it. She shouted at Esin in the yard. Before people could separate them, Ngozi's head tie was on the ground and her face had scratches. After that day, people feared fighting Esin. Still, no matter how bad her reputation spread, some people kept bringing work to her. Why? Because once in 6 months, when the spirit of sewing finally caught her, she would finish 1 or 2 clothes. And when she finished, the result was fine. The fitting would be sharp, the style neat, and people would clap. That single good cloth kept deceiving the whole community. They would say, "Maybe this time she will change." They kept coming back. Her landlady, Mama Uju, shook her head every day. She said, "Esin, this your lazy lifestyle will soon catch you." Esin laughed. "Mama, I know how to handle my customers." But truly, how long can lies and laziness carry somebody before trouble comes? That was the question hanging over Esin's head like a bird waiting to drop waste. And one hot afternoon, the answer walked into her shop wearing a plain black wrapper and a calm face. That hot afternoon, when the sun was pressing the zinc roof like fire, a woman walked into Esin's shop. She was not like the other customers. She wore a plain black wrapper tied tight around her waist. Her blouse was simple and her head tie was black with tiny silver dots that shone like stars. Her face was calm, too calm. She did not greet plenty. She only dropped 1 folded fabric on the table. "I need this cloth ready in 2 days, the woman said, her voice soft but strong. "I am going to a party, do not disappoint me." Esin smiled. This was her type of customer, one that didn't argue price. She quickly measured the woman, wrote something in her notebook, even though she didn't catch the name well, and collected her money. The fabric itself felt strange, almost cold, like water from a clay pot in Harmattan. Esin noticed but waved it off. Money was money. As soon as the woman left, Chisholm whispered, "Auntie, that woman looked somehow. Her eyes were not normal." "Keep quiet," Esin snapped. "What do you know about eyes? Go and buy me Fanta and Puff Puff." By evening, Esin had already forgotten about the woman. She folded the fabric and pushed it under a pile of other customers' clothes. She told herself, "I will sew it later." The same story she always told herself. That night when she lay down to sleep, her body did not rest well. She dreamed she was standing inside a large compound with no end. There was a drum beating slowly, dum, 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 and then a voice began calling her name. "Esin, where is my cloth?" She turned, but nobody was there. The drum grew louder. The voice repeated, "Do not disappoint me." Esin jumped awake, sweating. She sat up and spat 3 times to the side. It's just dream, she muttered. Too much meat pie before bed. She tried to laugh, but the laugh came out shaky. The next day she carried on as usual. Madame Ifoma, whose daughter's wedding dress was still in Ezin's bag after one whole year, arrived shouting, "Ezin, thief, fraud, where is my cloth?" She even grabbed Ezin's chair. People gathered. Ezin kept quiet until Madame Ifoma threatened to call police. "Call them," Ezin said boldly. "Police is my customer too." And true to her word, when Madame Ifoma dragged her to the station, Ezin carried one small brown envelope. The officer coughed, smiled, and told Madame Ifoma to settle outside. Ezin walked home later, bragging, "Police cannot hold me." But that night when she closed her eyes, the drum returned. Louder, stronger, and the same voice whispered in her ear, "Ezin, 2 days is almost finished. Where is my cloth?" She woke with her heart beating fast. This was not ordinary dream, something was following her. The day after the dream, Ezin tried to carry herself as if nothing happened. She opened her shop late as usual. She sat on her plastic chair, chewing groundnuts, pretending to measure one old cloth when she heard commotion outside. 3 women were marching to her shop. Leading them was Mama Enkay, the one whose daughter never got her graduation gown. Beside her was Ngozi, who had once given Ezin cloth for a burial outfit 2 years ago. The third was Stella's elder sister, still angry about the wedding disgrace. They burst into the shop like thunder. "Ezin," Mama Enkay shouted, banging the table, "where is my cloth, my money?" "You are a disgrace." "Yes," Ngozi added, rolling her sleeves. "You will not cheat me again today. Either you give me my material or I will show you pepper." Stella's sister was not even shouting, she was crying. "You made my sister cry on her wedding day. Do you know what you caused in our family? Today you must explain." Chisholm, the cousin, ran out the back door immediately. She knew trouble when she saw it. Ezin, instead of being afraid, stood up slowly. She was not just lazy, she was also strong. Her arms were heavy like yam mortar. She pushed one pile of cloth aside and faced them. "Anybody who wants fight should come," she said boldly. Before the women could even answer, Ngozi rushed forward to grab her. That was the biggest mistake. In seconds, Ezin twisted her hand, bent her forward and pushed her to the ground. The whole shop scattered. Mama Enkay tried to join. Ezin dragged her wrapper till it nearly fell. People in the compound gathered, laughing and shouting. "Fight, fight, Ezin is dealing with them." By the time neighbors separated them, Ngozi's face had scratches, Mama Enkay's wrapper was half loose, and Stella's sister had fainted from crying. Ezin dusted her hands and said, "Next time come with respect. If you want cloth, wait. If you cannot wait, leave my shop." That evening, people in the community shook their heads. Some swore never to give her work again. Others whispered, but when she finally sews, the clothes are fine." The cycle continued. But that night, the ghost woman did not let her rest. The dream started again. This time, Ezin was inside a big hall filled with drums. Shadows moved around her. The same calm voice spoke. 2 days have finished, Ezin. Where is my cloth?" She tried to speak, but her lips would not open. She tried to run, but her legs refused. Suddenly, the woman in black wrapper appeared in front of her. The silver dots on her head tie shone like fireflies. Her eyes glowed faintly. She smiled, but it was not the kind of smile that brought peace. "Do not disappoint me," she whispered again. Ezin jumped awake, breathing fast. Her throat was dry. For the first time in her life, she was afraid of a customer. The morning after the dream, Ezin's face looked dull. She hadn't slept well. Still, she forced herself to act bold. She told herself, it's just ordinary dream. Nothing can happen. She sat in her shop eating muamwa when a young man walked in. His name was Kelechi. He needed a senator outfit for his uncle's burial. He begged her, "Please, I cannot be disgraced. I need it before Saturday." Ezin's eyes lit up. "Quick cash again." She smiled, measured him, collected the fabric and money and said, "Come on Friday, it will be ready." Chisholm looked at her with wide eyes. "Auntie, why are you still collecting more work when you haven't done the old ones?" Ezin snapped at her, "Do you want to eat in this house? Keep quiet." By evening, Kelechi's aunt came too, dropping fabric for her birthday gown. Another deposit entered Ezin's pocket. The pile of untouched clothes in the shop grew higher, but Ezin only laughed. "I will settle them all when I have time." That night the dream started again, but this time it was not just drum and voice. The ghost woman appeared more clearly. She sat at a sewing machine inside the dream, her black wrapper neat, her hands moving fast as she pressed the pedal. The machine rattled loudly. Ezin stood there frozen. "Look," the woman said calmly, "I even sew faster than you." When Ezin tried to speak, the woman looked up with eyes that were empty, as if no life was inside. "2 days have passed. Where is my cloth?" Ezin screamed in the dream and jumped awake. She looked around her room. For a moment she thought she saw the black wrapper folded at the foot of her bed. She blinked and it was gone. She shivered. This was no ordinary dream. The next day word began to spread in the compound. "Don't take your fabric to Ezin, she is a scam." Some people stopped giving her work, but surprisingly others still came. Why? Because the few clothes she managed to sew once in a blue moon were so fine that they deceived everyone. One neighbor, Amaka, said, "Ezin delayed me for 8 months, but when she finally did my dress, it was the best in the wedding. I forgive her." That small testimony brought more victims. But as the customers kept coming, the ghost kept coming too. The more she ignored the fabric, the worse the dreams became. By now, Ezin's life was a mix of wahala, real customers on one side, ghost customer on the other. In the daytime, her biggest problem was human beings. One Saturday morning, Kelechi came back for his senator outfit. Burial was that same afternoon. He entered the shop, chest heaving. "Ezin, where is my cloth? People are waiting for me." Ezin swallowed hard. The fabric was still under the pile, untouched. She scratched her head and said, Kelechi, NEPA took light, I could not finish. If you wait till tomorrow." Kelechi almost fainted. "Tomorrow? My uncle's burial is today. How can you play with the dead?" Neighbors gathered at the noise, some started laughing. Lazy Tailor has struck again. Kelechi shouted that he would call his brothers to beat her. Ezin, instead of begging, stood tall and said, "If your brothers come, let them come. I will beat them one by one." Kelechi's aunt rushed in, dragging her wrapper, shouting too, "You think you can disgrace our family?" A quarrel broke out right there in the shop. Ezin, being strong like cassava pestle, pushed the woman until her wig fell. The compound scattered with laughter. That evening, when the dust settled, Ezin went to buy suya. People mocked her as she walked. "Queen Stitches, when will my cloth be ready?" "Next year," they laughed. Ezin laughed too, pretending not to care, though inside her heart was heavy. At night the ghost came again. This time she didn't wait for dream to start slowly. The moment Ezin's eyes closed, she was back in that endless compound, drums everywhere, and the woman in black was standing closer now. "Ezin," she said softly, "you are quick to fight people, quick to lie but slow to sew. You collected my cloth, where is it?" Ezin tried to run, but her legs were heavy. She screamed, but no sound came out. The ghost only smiled, patient as ever. The next morning, Ezin woke up trembling. She wanted to confess to someone, but pride tied her tongue. Instead, she picked quarrel with Chisholm. "Why are you staring at me like that? Go sweep the shop." Chisholm muttered, "Auntie, your eyes are red. You didn't sleep again." "Shut up before I slap you." As if Ezin didn't have enough problems, Mama Uju, the landlady, came that same afternoon demanding rent. Ezin had spent all her deposits on food, wigs, and gossip. She begged, "Mama, give me 1 week." Mama Uju hissed, "You will soon sleep outside." "Lazy Tailor, your lies will finish you." By night, Ezin's worries were too many. Customers, landlady, money, shame. But nothing weighed heavier than the ghost fabric lying untouched under the pile. Every time she tried to move it, her hand shook. That night, when she finally closed her eyes, she heard not just drums but footsteps approaching her bed. From that night, Ezin's life was no longer normal. She would sit in her shop trying to look bold, but her body would feel cold, even when the sun was hot. Sometimes the pile of fabrics in the corner would shift slightly, as if someone touched them. Chisholm swore she saw the black wrapper fabric moving on its own. "Auntie, I saw it shake just now." Ezin slapped her arm. "Idiot, is it the fabric that will stand up and walk? You watch too many films." But inside, her heart jumped. She knew what Chisholm saw was real. Customers noticed too. One woman entered with her baby strapped to her back. The baby, who had been laughing before, suddenly started crying loud the moment they stepped inside. The woman looked around and whispered, "Ezin, your shop is not clean. Something is here." She turned and left without even talking about her cloth. Another day, Ada the food seller brought rice to her. As soon as Ada dropped the plate, a strange wind blew across the room, even though the window was shut. Ada frowned. "Ezin, are you keeping ghost customers here?" She laughed small and walked out, but her laughter did not sound like real laughter. Meanwhile, human Wahala didn't reduce. One afternoon, Stella's elder brother came to fight her. He was angry about the disgrace at the wedding. "Ezin, today you must refund everything," he shouted. Ezin stood up, tied her wrapper tighter and faced him. "If you touch me, you will regret it." They started shouting. Before long, Ezin grabbed him, pushed him against the wall, and the crowd screamed. People rushed to separate them. The man left with torn shirt, cursing. Neighbors laughed and said, "Ah, Ezin is stronger than 3 men." But later that evening, when she closed her shop, she saw something that wiped away her pride. As she bent to lock the shop door, she glanced at the reflection in the glass. For a moment she saw herself inside, sitting at the sewing machine, but it was not her. It was the woman in black wrapper, sewing calmly, her eyes shining. Ezin gasped, turned around, and the seat was empty. She nearly dropped the key. She rushed home, her legs shaking. That night the dream returned. This time she was not in a compound. She was inside her own shop. The ghost woman sat behind her sewing machine, pressing the pedal. The sound was loud, faster, faster, until Ezin's ears rang. "Ezin," the woman said without looking up, "you can fight humans, but can you fight me?" Ezin woke screaming. Chisholm ran inside. "Auntie, what is it?" Ezin slapped her again. "Shut up and go back to sleep." But deep inside, fear was eating her like termites eat wood. People thought Ezin was lazy because she liked enjoyment. That was only half true. The full story started years back. When she was 15, her mother sent her to learn sewing under Auntie Felicia in town. Auntie Felicia was strict like cement. She believed sleep was a bad habit. Ezin sewed from morning till midnight, bending her back till it burned. If a stitch went crooked, Auntie Felicia would shout and make her redo the whole thing. If customers complained, Ezin took the blame. She cried in the toilet and wiped her face with scrap fabric. She told herself, "One day I will rest and nobody will push me again." When Auntie Felicia died, Ezin kept the skill but lost the drive. Anytime she sat at a machine, her chest tightened. It felt like Auntie Felicia's voice was still behind her, saying, "Faster, perfect." So she ran from the feeling. She called it rest. It became avoidance. The more she avoided, the heavier the work felt. That was how laziness grew on her like moss. Family, her father was late. Her mother, Mama Nwakigo, sold Gary in the village. Mama believed Ezin was doing well in town. Ezin lied on the phone. "Mummy, work is fine." Sometimes Mama asked for small help for Junior's school fees. Ezin promised. The promise sat there unpaid. Shame made her cut the calls short. Love life, there was Chaik, the phone repairer. He liked her. He said she was funny and strong. He gave her small loans because he believed she would change. At first they laughed together in the evenings. Then dates turned to arguments. Ezin would cancel last minute because she was hiding from customers at home. Chaik begged her to set one full day to sew. She would nod and still do nothing. The debt and the lies started to choke the romance. One night he told her, "I cannot keep loving you and covering for you. Your laziness is punishing me too." He walked away angry. She pretended not to care, but she cried that night into her pillow and blamed the world. All this the ghost seemed to know. In the next dream, the woman in black spoke like someone who had read Ezin's diary. "You were overworked as a girl, now you are overrested as a woman. Balance is your missing cloth." The drum beat slow. 2 days are gone, 7 nights remain. If my cloth is not ready by the 7th night, I will wear something else, and if I wear something else, I will take something from you. Ezin begged, "Please give me more time." The woman nodded calmly. "I have already given you time, you are the one who keeps throwing it away." Morning came. Chisholm found Ezin sitting by the machine, staring. "Auntie, are you okay?" "I am fine," Ezin said, voice low. She wasn't fine. The past was pushing from behind. The ghost was pulling from the front. In the middle stood her mother, her brother, and the love she was losing. The laziness was no longer a small habit. It was now a thief in the house, eating everything. By now, the truth about Ezin's life was showing like a badly sewn seam. People outside thought she was only lazy. They didn't know it came from years of being forced, years of being pushed like a wheelbarrow on a rough road. Now, every time she looked at her sewing machine, she saw prison. That was why she ate puff puff and slept instead. But the laziness was not just punishing her customers, it was punishing her family too. Her mother, Mama Nwakigo, called one evening. "Ezin, your brother Junior has been sent home again. School fees are not complete." Ezin pressed the phone to her ear, guilt heavy. "Mummy, I will send money soon." "Soon, soon, soon," Mama sighed. Since last term you have been saying soon. Ezin, are you really working in that city, or are you just wasting away? Tears strung Ezin's eyes. She quickly ended the call before her mother heard her silence. As if that was not enough, Chaik, the phone repairer, came to her shop the next day. He leaned on the door, tired face, arms folded. Ezin, when will you stop? People are laughing at you, you owe me money too, do you want me to look like a fool? Ezin forced a smile. Chaik, you know I love you, just give me time. When I finish all these clothes I'll pay everyone. Chaik shook his head. You've been saying that since I met you. Love cannot feed on excuses. If you continue like this you'll lose more than customers. He left without looking back. That night the ghost did not wait for sleep to come slowly. The moment Ezin closed her eyes, she was inside a dark tailor's shop. Not hers, but a strange one, machines lined up, threads dangling from the ceiling like cobwebs. The woman in black sat sewing a glowing cloth that shimmered like water. Ezin, she said, still calm, you keep lying to your mother, you keep wounding your lover. Time is cutting you down, 4 nights remain. Ezin fell to her knees. Please, I will sew it tomorrow. The ghost's smile widened. You always say tomorrow. She woke screaming, drenched in sweat. By morning she was desperate. For the first time in years she sat at the machine, fabric scissors in hand, but the pile of cloths overwhelmed her. Where to start? The ghost's fabric lay buried under all the others. Her hands shook. She dropped the scissors and pushed everything back. Instead she called Chisholm. Go and buy Puff Puff. Chisholm stared at her, disgusted. Auntie, even ghosts are waiting for you, and you still want Puff Puff. Ezin shouted, go before I slap you. But deep inside, fear was gnawing her. She could fight human beings, but how do you fight a ghost that knows your secrets? By the 9th night, Ezin's life was no longer ordinary. The ghost was chasing her in dreams, and her real life was collapsing like old cloth. First, her customers began to scatter. One woman, Kioma, passed her shop with fabric in hand. Normally Kioma would stop and greet, but this time she crossed to the other side of the road. When asked why, she said loudly, I cannot risk my money with lazy Tailor. I still have 2 wrappers sleeping in her shop till today. The laughter from passers-by burned Ezin like hot pepper. Then the debt collectors started circling. Ada the food seller came one evening, standing arms akimbo. Ezin, pay me or don't come near my shop again. Even Puff Puff you will not smell. Chaik too sent a boy to collect the 15,000 she owed him. When Ezin said she had no money, the boy spat on the floor and warned, next time Ogre himself will come. At home, her landlady, Mama Uju, grew sharper. Ezin, if I don't see rent in 1 week, I will throw your machine into the street. Neighbors gathered and nodded. Some even clapped. Shame crawled all over her skin. But what frightened her most wasn't people. It was what began happening in daylight. One afternoon she was alone in the shop, folding a piece of fabric, when she heard the sewing machine pedal moving. She looked, the machine was working on its own. The wheel spun, the needle went up and down, stitching air. Ezin froze. She wanted to shout, but no sound came. Then she heard it, the calm voice. Ezin, 4 nights remain. She jumped up, knocked over a stool, and ran outside barefoot. People laughed at her, thinking she had seen a rat. She couldn't explain. How do you tell them your customer is a ghost? That night the dream grew darker. She found herself in a wide hall filled with mannequins wearing half-sewn clothes. The ghost woman was there again, calm as ever, the silver dots on her head tie glowing. She pointed at the mannequins. Do you see them, all the people you disappointed? They are waiting. You shame the living, you cannot shame me. Ezin fell to the ground crying, please, give me more time, I will sew it. The ghost leaned closer. 3 nights remain. Ezin woke up with tears soaking her pillow. She sat in the dark, hugging herself, whispering, what have I done? What have I done? And for the first time in her life the thought entered her mind, maybe laziness is not just habit, maybe it is destroying me for real. On the 10th day, trouble doubled. Early in the morning, without warning, Ezin's mother, Mama Nwakigo, arrived from the village. She carried one small bag and plenty questions. My daughter, she called from outside the compound. Where is my tailor queen? I said let me come and surprise you. When Ezin heard her mother's voice, her heart dropped. She hadn't sent money for Junior's school fees. She hadn't even told Mama about the police trouble or the fights or the ghost. Quickly she told Chisholm, hide all these unpaid fabrics. If Mama sees them, I am finished. Mama entered, smiling, but the smile quickly faded when she looked around. The shop was messy, fabrics piled like mountain, nothing completed. Ezin, she said slowly, is this the business you've been bragging about on phone? Ezin forced laughter. Mama, it's just small delay, customers rush me too much, but don't worry, I'm handling it. Mama narrowed her eyes. Handling? Your brother is at home missing school and you are here sitting on Fabric Mountain like a lazy queen. As if the timing was planned, Ada the food seller walked past and shouted, Lazy Tailor, pay me my money. Mama's eyes widened. Lazy Tailor? They are calling you Lazy Tailor in the community. Ezin tried to change the topic, but more voices came. Where is my cloth, Ezin? One man shouted from the junction. Another woman hissed that Tailor is cursed. Mama held her head with both hands. When they reached the house later, Mama begged her, my daughter, tell me the truth. Why are you like this? You were never lazy as a child. What changed? Ezin wanted to explain, to tell her about Auntie Felicia, about the fear that came with sewing, about the ghost customer. But shame sealed her lips. She only muttered, Mama, leave me alone. I will handle it. That night Mama slept in her daughter's small room, but she did not sleep peacefully. Around midnight she woke up screaming. Who is calling my name? She cried, shaking. Ezin froze, she knew. The ghost had crossed from her dreams into Mama's. Mama, what did you see? She asked. Mama shivered. A woman in black wrapper, she said you disappointed her, she said 3 nights remain. Ezin collapsed on the floor, wailing. Even my mother is seeing her. Chisholm, who overheard, whispered to herself, this is not just laziness anymore, this is curse. And for the first time, Ezin's whole household realized the ghost was not only after her, it was after everyone around her too. The next morning, Wahala started before cockcrow finished crowing. Mama Nwakigo marched out of the room with wrapper tied tight across her chest. Ezin, she barked, last night a ghost chased me in my dream. You will explain today or I will call prayer warriors from the village. Ezin rubbed her eyes. Mama. Please don't shout, it was only small dream. Small dream, Mama clapped her hands. So my spirit should be running marathon with ghosts while you are here eating puff puff. Nonsense. Before Ezin could answer, Mama Uju, the landlady, arrived at the door with her hands on her waist. Lazy Tailor, I have warned you. If I don't see my rent this week, I will throw your sewing machine into the gutter. And this time not even police will rescue you. She looked at Mama and added with a smirk, Madam, carry your daughter back to the village, oh she has turned this compound to fashion cemetery. The neighbours burst into laughter. One even shouted, yes, the whole street is full of cloth ghosts. As if the embarrassment was not enough, Chaik appeared from nowhere. He had been avoiding Ezin for weeks, but curiosity brought him back. He leaned on the shop doorway, shaking his head. Ezin, you are now trending in this community. People call you Netflix, because every day drama. Ezin rolled her eyes. Chaik, a beg, if you came to mock me, go. But Mama quickly dragged him inside. My son, don't go, maybe you can talk sense into her, she won't hear me. Chaik sighed. Ezin, do you know I saw one of your customers yesterday at the junction? The woman said you promised her cloth for her grandmother's burial last year. She said her grandmother has died again in the spirit world, waiting for you to deliver. The crowd outside roared with laughter. Ezin hissed, people exaggerate too much. Just then a customer called Uju Baby stormed in, eyes blazing. She pointed at Ezin. Tailor, you made me wear jeans to my uncle's traditional wedding because you didn't finish my lace gown. Do you know how my family mocked me? They said I looked like MC instead of bridesmaid. The shop scattered with laughter again. Even Chisholm fell to the floor laughing, holding her stomach. Ezin, embarrassed and angry, stood up. Everybody leave my shop, all of you are witches and wizards, go and sew your cloths in heaven. But her shouting could not hide her fear, because deep down she knew the real witch waiting for her was not in the crowd. It was the calm woman in black wrapper, counting down the nights one by one. That evening when she closed her eyes, she dreamt she was on a runway show. Mannequins were walking in line, but instead of models they were her angry customers. Each mannequin stopped in front of her, tearing their half-sewn clothes. The ghost woman was the judge, holding a long cane, tapping it on the floor. 2 nights remain, she said, smiling. Ezin jumped out of bed, sweating, screaming. Mama and Chisholm ran in. Mama shouted, Jesus of Nazareth. Chisholm added, Auntie, just sew the cloth before this ghost carries all of us. The day after Mama's nightmare, Ezin sat in her shop with swollen eyes. She had not slept. The ghost's voice still echoed in her head. 2 nights remain. She stared at the pile of clothes, hands shaking, but she could not move. Just then Chaik appeared at the doorway. He looked tired but softer than before. He leaned against the frame and said quietly, "Ezin, I heard what people are saying about you. I came to see if you are still alive." She looked up at him, shame heavy on her face. For once she did not try to joke. She only whispered, "Chaik, I am tired. I think something wants to kill me." Chaik came closer, pulled a stool and sat beside her. "Ezin, listen to me. I know you. You're not stupid. You're not cursed. You're just stuck. You hide because you're scared, but running won't save you. You have to start. Even one stitch is better than nothing." Ezin wiped her eyes. "I don't even know where to begin. Every cloth here feels like a mountain." "Then start with one stone," Chaik said firmly. He picked up a fabric from the pile and placed it on her lap. "Cut it." Her hands trembled. She shook her head. "What if I spoil it?" "Then spoil it," Chaik replied. "At least it will be better than dust." Ezin gave a nervous laugh, half tears, half mockery. "You think it's that easy?" "It's not easy," he said, "but I'll sit here with you, do it." For a long time she just sat there. Then slowly she lifted the scissors. Her heart pounded like drum. She made the first cut. The sound of fabric tearing filled the room. Chaik smiled. "Good, now continue." Ezin grumbled, cursed under her breath, complained about the thread, about the heat, about NEPA, but she kept going. By evening, to her own shock, she had finished one blouse, not perfect but complete. When she held it up, her eyes filled with tears. "I did it," she whispered. Chaik smiled faintly. "Yes, you did it. That's how change starts, one cloth at a time." From outside, neighbors peeked in, surprised. "Lazy Tailor is sewing," they whispered. Some laughed, some clapped. Ezin wanted to hide, but for the first time in years she felt something like pride. Small, shaky, but real. That night when she slept, the ghost appeared in her dream again. But instead of anger, the woman in black looked at the blouse and nodded. "You have begun. Do not stop." Ezin woke up in the morning with tired arms, but for the first time her heart carried a little hope. The next morning Ezin woke with aching arms. She had not felt that kind of tiredness in years. Normally she would groan, roll over and promise herself tomorrow. But this time she sat up. The ghost's last words still rang in her head. "You have begun. Do not stop." When she entered the shop, Chaik was already waiting. He leaned against the doorway with Puff Puff and Zobo in his hands. "Breakfast for the new tailor," he said, grinning. Ezin rolled her eyes but took the Puff Puff. "Don't think this means I've changed overnight. Sewing is still hard." Chaik smirked. "Lazy people always talk too much. Just sit down." She hissed but sat at the machine. The pile of fabric stared at her like angry customers. She sighed. "Chaik, how do I even start? There are too many." "Pick one," he said. "Ignore the rest, one by one." So she picked another cloth. Her hands shook less this time. She pressed the pedal. The thread broke halfway. She cursed loud. "This is why I hate sewing. Even the machine is against me." Chaik laughed so hard he almost fell off the chair. "Machine is against you. Abeg, the machine is innocent. It's you that is stubborn." They argued, insulted each other, but she kept sewing. By evening she had managed a second blouse. Crooked, yes, threads hanging, yes, but real. Neighbors gathered at the window, gossiping. "Lazy Tailor is sweating. Wonders shall never end." Someone shouted, "Clap for her. She sewed 2 clothes in 1 week." The whole compound laughed. Instead of hiding, Ezin raised the blouse in the air. "Yes, 2 clothes. If you don't like it, go and hug Transformer." The crowd burst into louder laughter. For once the shame didn't burn as much. That night the ghost came again in her dream. The woman in black held both blouses in her hands. She examined them slowly, then looked at Ezin. Her voice was calm. "You are still slow, but you are moving. Continue." Ezin fell on her knees. "Please don't punish me anymore. I'm trying." The ghost tilted her head. "I will not punish you. You punish yourself when you stop." Ezin woke up with tears in her eyes. But this time the tears were not only fear. They were relief. For the first time she believed maybe, just maybe, she could change. The next day Mama Nwakigo could no longer sit quietly and watch. She tied her wrapper tight, marched into the shop and clapped her hands 3 times. "Ezin, from today I am your new apprentice master. Forget Auntie Felicia. This one will train you with Love and Kaboko together. Sit down." Ezin groaned. "Mama, abeg, I already started yesterday. Let me rest small." "Rest," Mama's eyes bulged. "Lazy Tailor, you have been resting since 2005. Sit down before I break this machine on your head. Chisholm burst out laughing and quickly covered her mouth. Mama, please don't kill her. Who will pay my school fees? Even Chike joined in. He leaned on the wall enjoying the drama. Ezin, just obey, today you will sweat. So Mama stood over her like a general, arms folded. Faster, hold the cloth well, no excuses. Ezin muttered under her breath, see my life. I'm a grown woman, my own mother is shouting at me like secondary school girl. Chisholm mimicked her voice from the corner. See my life, the whole shop burst into laughter. But under the comedy something good was happening. Ezin was sewing, really sewing. Mama corrected her hand position. Chike fixed the thread when it tangled. Chisholm ironed the fabric. For the first time, the shop looked like a real workshop. By evening, 3 blouses and 1 skirt were hanging on the line. Neighbors walked past, shocked. Lazy Tailor has turned factory, one man joked. Another woman muttered, maybe deliverance is working. Ezin wiped sweat from her forehead, her face glowing red. She looked at the clothes and felt something strange, pride mixed with fear. That night the ghost came again, but this time the dream was different. Ezin saw the woman in black wrapper sitting at the sewing machine, smiling faintly. She held up the 4 finished clothes. You are learning, the ghost said, but remember, redemption is not about one day, it is about every day. Stop and I will return. Ezin knelt down in the dream, her voice breaking. I will continue, just give me strength. When she woke in the morning, her mother and Chisholm were already sweeping the shop, while Chike dozed in the chair with his cap over his face. For once, Ezin smiled. The journey was still long, but for the first time in her life she felt she wasn't walking alone. Word began to spread like harmattan fire. Lazy Tailor is sewing again. At first people laughed. They said it was a joke that Ezin would soon return to her old ways. But when they passed her shop and saw clothes hanging outside, pressed and finished, some began to whisper, maybe she has changed. One of her old customers, Pastor Daniel, who once cursed her for ruining his choir uniforms, came cautiously. He stood at the doorway, arms folded. Ezin, is it true you are back to work? Ezin's throat went dry. She wanted to hide, but Mama shoved her forward. Yes, Pastor, she is working. Today she will take your measurement again. No lies this time. Pastor Daniel raised an eyebrow. If you disappoint me again, may your machine never move. Chisholm muttered from the corner, Pastor, I beg, don't add curse on top. Ghost is already dealing with us. The whole shop burst into laughter. Even Pastor Daniel chuckled. He dropped 1 small fabric. Let's see. By afternoon, another old customer, Ngozi, the one she once fought in the yard, came, still frowning. Ezin, you disgraced me that time. You scratched my face like cat. If you are really serious now, prove it. Sew this cloth in 1 week. She slammed fabric on the table and left without waiting for answer. The pressure was heavy, but instead of folding, Ezin swallowed hard and sat at the machine. With Chike threading, Mama shouting corrections and Chisholm ironing, the shop moved like clockwork. That evening, as the sun set, 4 more clothes were completed. Neighbors clapped, some mocked. One shouted, Lazy Tailor is on probation, let's wait 1 month first. But even mockery sounded lighter than before. That night the ghost came again, but her voice was different. Not angry, not mocking, calm, almost soft. She stood holding the half-finished party cloth, her fingers stroking the fabric. Do you know why I wanted this dress? She asked. Ezin shook her head, kneeling. No, please tell me. The ghost's eyes glowed faintly. I was meant to attend my own remembrance feast. My family wanted me dressed well. They gave you my fabric. You thought I was ordinary. You disappointed me like the living. But now you have begun to change. Ezin gasped. So you were gone already. The ghost nodded slowly. I am not like other customers, I cannot wait forever. Sew my cloth, complete it. If you do, I will rest. And you, Ezin, you will be free to truly live. The dream ended with the sound of drums fading into silence. Ezin woke with her chest pounding, sweat running down her back. But this time there was no fear in her eyes, only determination. She looked at the folded black wrapper fabric on the table and whispered, Tomorrow I will finish you. The next morning, Ezin woke before the cock crowed. For years she had been the last to rise, the one neighbors mocked for snoring while others were at work. But that day, she was the first to unlock the shop. She laid the black wrapper fabric on the table. Her hands trembled, but she breathed deep. Mama joined her, tying her wrapper. Today you must finish it, she said. Chisholm nodded seriously. Even Chike pulled up a stool, ready to help. Ezin pressed the pedal, the machine rattled. At first the stitches tangled, but she refused to stop. She muttered under her breath, "Not today, I must finish." Sweat poured down her back. Mama barked, "Straight line, Ezin." Chisholm fanned her with a cardboard. Chike kept adjusting the thread. By afternoon the gown began to take shape. It was not fast, not easy, but little by little the cloth transformed. Neighbours gathered outside, peeping through the window. "Lazy Tailor is sweating, oh, maybe today is the miracle," someone said. By evening the last stitch was done. Ezin held up the gown, her hands shaking, her eyes full of tears. It was beautiful, neat, elegant, even glowing faintly in the fading sunlight. At that moment the shop fell silent. The air turned cold, everyone froze. Then from the corner the calm voice came. "Well done, Ezin." They looked but saw nothing. Only Ezin saw the woman in black wrapper, smiling faintly, her silver-dotted head tie shining. She touched the gown gently, then looked at Ezin. "You have kept your promise. You disappointed many, but you did not disappoint me in the end. Learn from this." With that the woman faded like smoke carried by breeze. The cold lifted. The room felt lighter than it had in years. Ezin collapsed into the chair, crying and laughing at the same time. "It's over, I finished it." Mama hugged her tightly. "My daughter, laziness nearly killed you, but see, when you put hand you can do wonders." Chisholm clapped. "Auntie, from today no more puff-puff before work." The whole shop burst into laughter. Even Chike smiled, his eyes soft. "Ezin, you have started, don't stop, I'll be here." From that day Ezin changed, not overnight perfection, no. Some days she still grumbled, still wanted to hide. But she remembered the ghost, the calm voice, the warning. She kept sewing one cloth at a time. Slowly her reputation began to heal. From that day Ezin did not become perfect. She became honest. She delivered one cloth at a time. When fear came, she remembered the calm voice. When laziness came, she remembered the shame it brought. Her name in the community changed slowly from Lazy Tailor to Ezin the Redeemed. Moral: laziness looks small, but it eats trust, love, and peace. Redemption begins the day you stop running, sit at the work and take the first stitch, then the next, every day.